Imagine a world where your playground is a professional training ground, where the rhythmic thwack of a tennis ball isn't just a distant sound, but the soundtrack to your childhood, your very lullaby. This isn't a story about a child born with a silver racket, but one who literally grew up sleeping within the very walls of a tennis academy, his destiny woven into the fabric of the sport from his earliest breaths. This episode will dive deep into the incredible, improbable journey of a young man who redefined what it means to enter the elite world of tennis, shattering molds and inspiring millions with every powerful forehand and every infectious smile. His path was not paved with privilege, but with perseverance, dedication, and an unshakable belief in the power of a dream born in the most unconventional of circumstances. Get ready to be inspired by a true testament to the human spirit, a story that proves where you start doesn't define where you can go. Imagine a world where your playground is a professional training ground, where the rhythmic thwack of a tennis ball isn't just a distant sound, but the soundtrack to your childhood, your very lullaby. This isn't a story about a child born with a silver racket, but one who literally grew up sleeping within the very walls of a tennis academy, his destiny woven into the fabric of the sport from his earliest breaths. This episode will dive deep into the incredible, improbable journey of a young man who redefined what it means to enter the elite world of tennis, shattering molds and inspiring millions with every powerful forehand and every infectious smile. His path was not paved with privilege, but with perseverance, dedication, and an unshakable belief in the power of a dream born in the most unconventional of circumstances. Get ready to be inspired by a true testament to the human spirit, a story that proves where you start doesn't define where you can go. Born to parents who had journeyed from a war-torn homeland, seeking a better life. Their dedication to providing for their family led them to roles as caretakers at a sprawling tennis training facility. Here, amidst the perfectly manicured courts and state-of-the-art training centers, a young boy named Francis spent his formative years. His father, the head of maintenance, often worked tirelessly ensuring the pristine condition of the academy. Their makeshift home, an office space within the very heart of the facility, became a unique crucible for ambition. While other children were tucked into suburban beds, Francis often drifted to sleep to the faint hum of air conditioning units and the distant echoes of practice sessions, the scent of freshly cut grass and rubberized courts filling his young imagination. He was a ghost in the machine. Elite tennis, observing, absorbing, and dreaming. Every corner of that academy was his backyard, his secret training ground. He'd watch through chain-link fences, mimicking the pros, studying their footwork, the arc of their serves, the intensity in their eyes. He wasn't just watching. He was absorbing the very essence of the game. He'd sneak onto the courts after hours, using discarded rackets, hitting against walls, listening to the satisfying pop of ball on string, a sound that spoke of endless possibility. His earliest coaches weren't paid professionals, but the echoes of world-class players. He'd silently observed their movements etched into his mind. He was a self-taught prodigy, in the making, fueled by an innate curiosity and a burning desire to belong to the world he saw through the glass. The stark contrast between his humble beginnings and the often privileged environment of professional tennis only sharpened his resolve. He understood even at a tender age that every swing, every sprint, every drop of sweat was a step towards a future he had to earn. The challenges where immense financial constraints meant that every opportunity was precious, every piece of equipment a luxury. While his peers might have had private coaches, from an early age his learning was often a patchwork of generous donations, late-night self-practice, and the occasional informal lesson from a sympathetic pro or coach who saw a spark in the energetic, smiling boy. His raw athletic talent, however, was undeniable. He possessed an explosive speed, a natural power, and an agility that seemed to defy his frame. He didn't just hit the ball. He attacked it with a ferocity born of a deep hunger to prove himself. His game was developing organically, shaped by hours of relentless practice, often in solitude, driven by an internal fire that burned brighter than any external pressure. He learned to problem-solve on the court, to adapt, to improvise, because there was no safety net, no endless supply of resources to fall back on. Every point was a battle, every match a chance to show what he was made of. This foundational period, marked by struggle and ingenuity, forged a unique kind of competitor, one who was resilient, resourceful, and deeply grateful for every chance he got. From those early quiet hours on deserted courts a narrative of pure grit began to unfold. He wasn't just learning tennis. He was learning resilience, tenacity, and the invaluable lesson that self-belief can move mountains. The sounds of balls echoing off walls became his symphony of hope, each bounce a beat, in the rhythm of his burgeoning dream. As he entered his teenage years, his talent could no longer be ignored. He began to dominate junior tournaments, his unique blend of power, athleticism, and sheer charisma making him a standout. He wasn't just winning. He was entertaining. His celebrations were infectious, his on-court personality vibrant and uninhibited. He had a way of connecting with the crowd, drawing them into his matches, making them feel like they were part of his journey. His junior career was a whirlwind of success, a clear indication that a new star was rising. But the transition to the professional circuit is a different beast entirely. The grind of the Challenger Tour, the constant travel, the meager prize money, the endless quest for ranking points. It's a grueling path that breaks many promising talents, yet Francis, with his unique background and unwavering spirit, embraced the challenge head-on. He faced defeats that stung, moments of doubt that whispered of impossible odds, and the harsh realities of life on the road, far from the familiar echoes of his academy home. Still, he never lost that infectious smile, that unyielding optimism that had become his trademark. He learned from every loss, adapting his game, refining his technique, and strengthening his ment. Fortitude, he understood that every setback was merely a setup for a comeback, every struggle a stepping stone to greater heights. His distinctive playing style, marked by aggressive groundstrokes, a powerful serve that seemed to explode off the racket, and an innate ability to find improbable angles, began to truly blossom on the professional stage. But it was his on-court swagger, his exuberant personality, that truly set him apart. He wasn't afraid to show emotion, to pump his fist, to engage with the fans in a way that felt authentic and electric. He was a breath of fresh air in a sport often characterized by stoicism, bringing a vibrant, unbridled joy to every match. He became known as Big Foe, a nickname that encapsulated his powerful game and his larger-than-life presence. He had a natural flair for the dramatic, pulling off incredible shots. When it mattered most, thriving on the energy of the crowd, he transformed tennis into an electrifying performance, captivating audiences worldwide and making new fans out of casual observers. He didn't just play tennis. He performed it, infusing every point with an undeniable passion and an almost theatrical intensity. Then came the breakthrough moments, the matches that sent shockwaves through the tennis world. Announcing his arrival with an undeniable roar, he began to consistently challenge and often defeat players ranked significantly higher than him, proving he belonged among the elite. These moments weren't just victories. They were declarations of a vibrant new force on the global stage. Each major upset, each deep run into a prestigious tournament, wasn't just a personal achievement. It was a statement about what was possible when raw talent met unyielding tenacity, proving that determination can open seemingly shut doors. His journey became a narrative of overcoming odds, inspiring a generation of aspiring athletes, particularly those from underrepresented backgrounds, to believe their dreams were valid and could lead to triumph. His presence brought a fresh energy and dynamic vitality to the sport, making it more accessible and exciting for new audiences beyond the baseline. Francis embodied a spirit of joy and authenticity that resonated deeply with people. He connected with fans not just through his exhilarating tennis, but through his genuine personality, his open heart, and his engaging demeanor, making him relatable, funny, and deeply committed to using his platform for good. He spoke openly about his background, his struggles, and his hopes, becoming a role model far beyond the tennis court, embracing the responsibility that came with his story. He never shied away from discussing his humble origins or the hard work that fueled his ascent. He participated in numerous charitable initiatives, mentored young players, and consistently advocated for diversity and inclusion in sports, becoming a powerful voice for change. His smile, as bright off-court as it was on, became a symbol of hope and positivity, a beacon of light. In a competitive world, he showed that you could be a fierce competitor battling for every point and simultaneously a kind, empathetic human being inspiring others. He transcended the sport, becoming a cultural icon, a testament to the idea that true success is measured not just by trophies and rankings, but by impact and inspiration, by the lives you touch and the barriers you break. His authenticity, a breath of fresh air, Amidst the pressures of global fame, his resilience in the face of adversity has been a constant defining theme throughout his career. Professional sports are rife with physical and mental challenges from nagging injuries to slumps, and the relentless pressure of competition under the brightest lights. Yet through it all Francis maintained his trademark optimism and an unshakable belief in his process learning to navigate the highs and lows with grace. He embodied the spirit of persistence, always looking forward, always striving to improve, understanding that growth comes from challenges, and that setbacks are opportunities for reflection and refinement. He never let the weight of expectation or the sting of disappointment dim his inner light. His mental toughness, honed through years of overcoming obstacles and proving doubters wrong, became as formidable as his physical prowess. He demonstrated that true champions aren't just those who win every time, but those who rise every time they fall, finding joy in the journey and never stopping their belief in their boundless potential. His ability to perform under pressure, producing his best tennis when it mattered most, speaks volumes about his inner strength and unwavering self-belief, showcasing a true champion's mentality. Never satisfied, always hungry for more. As he continues his remarkable journey, Francis stands at the cusp of even greater achievements. He is not just a tennis player. He is a storyteller, his life, a living narrative of ambition, struggle, and triumph, played out on the grandest stages. He has carved out a unique place in the sport, representing the evolving face of global tennis and inspiring a generation to reach beyond their perceived limits. He reminds us all that passion, grit, and a little bit of swagger can truly change the game, shifting paradigms and redefining what success looks like. His story is far from over. In fact, it feels like it's just beginning, promising even more exhilarating chapters and continued inspiration. He has shown the world that true greatness isn't just about winning, but about how you play the game of life, embodying the power of dreams realized against all odds. His journey reminds us all that with enough heart and determination, any background can become a launching pad for extraordinary success. He is a beacon of joy, resilience, and unbridled talent, redefining what it means to be a champion, captivating audiences with his unique blend of skill and undeniable charm. His future shines bright, a testament to the enduring power of a dream, cultivated from the most unexpected of origins. He continues to redefine what's possible, pushing boundaries and inspiring everyone who watches him compete with his fierce dedication and infectious love for the game. He is a trailblazer, a role model, and an undeniable force in the world of tennis, a true champion, captivating hearts worldwide with his electrifying play and his incredible story of triumph against the odds. His legacy is already being forged, proving that genuine passion and unrelenting effort can overcome any obstacle, leading to a path of extraordinary achievement and lasting impact. His journey stands as a vibrant testament to the power of the human spirit, a reminder that brilliance can emerge from the most surprising places, propelled by an unwavering belief in oneself and the relentless pursuit of a dream. The junior accolades, while affirming, were merely the first fragile blooms on a tree whose roots had battled through barren earth. The professional circuit, a vast, unforgiving desert, threatened to wither them, transitioning from the comparatively sheltered world of youth tennis to the relentless, often brutal grind of the Challenger Tour, was a baptism by fire, a stark confrontation with the brutal economics and unforgiving meritocracy of elite sport. Gone were the familiar courts and the adoring local crowds. In their place stretched endless miles of anonymous motels, early morning flights, and the constant nagging anxiety of meager prize money barely covering expenses. Every lost match wasn't just a blow to his ego, it was a tangible hit to his ability to simply exist, to keep chasing the dream. There were moments, undoubtedly, when the weight of it all pressed down, when the echoes of distant practice sessions in that academy office seemed impossibly far away, when the allure of a more stable, less punishing life whispered tempting alternatives. The self-doubt, a shadow he fought to keep at bay, loomed largest not during high-stakes points, but in the quiet solitude of empty hotel rooms far from family, where the only company was the relentless arithmetic of rankings and finances. Yet it was precisely in these crucible moments of isolation and hardship that Francis's extraordinary resilience was not just tested, but forged into an unbreakable alloy. He learned to become his own strongest advocate, his own most demanding coach, and his most unwavering source of encouragement. He meticulously analyzed every defeat not as a judgment, but as a lesson, a puzzle to be solved, he embraced the uncomfortable truths about his game, recognizing weaknesses not as flaws, but as areas for reinvention. He refined his already aggressive groundstrokes, adding layers of tactical intelligence to his raw power, understanding that professional tennis demanded not just athleticism, but acute strategic thinking. His powerful serve, once a weapon, became a precision instrument, honed through countless hours. Aiming for microscopic targets, he cultivated an innate understanding of angles and court geometry, learning to manipulate the ball with a finesse that belied his powerful attacking style. These were the private battles fought away from the glare of the grandstands, in dimly lit practice courts and late-night video sessions, shaping a player who was not just gifted, but profoundly astute. As he navigated this treacherous landscape, small victories became monumental declarations, qualifying for a main draw, winning a first-round match against a seasoned pro, or making a quarterfinal on a challenger circuit. These were not just points on a ranking list. They were infusions of hope, tangible evidence that the improbable was indeed possible. Each one chipped away at the wall of doubt, building a foundation of self-belief brick by hard-won brick. And then the tide began to turn, marked by those initial breakthroughs that rippled across the tennis world. It wasn't a single explosive moment, but a series of electrifying performances that cumulatively announced his undeniable arrival. Imagine the scene. A packed outer court, the air thick with anticipation, as this unseeded, unheralded young American, with his infectious smile and explosive game, started dismantling established names. The first time he truly upset a top 20 player, it wasn't just a win. It was a jolt, an almost audible gasp from the seasoned commentators, a frenetic surge of energy through the crowd. He wasn't just hitting winners. He was putting on a show, his celebrations becoming spontaneous bursts of joy, his fist pumps carrying the weight of 1,000 untold struggles. The collective energy of the crowd, initially curious, rapidly transformed into roaring support, drawn in by his unfiltered emotion and palpable passion. His on-court swagger, initially perhaps a shield against the pressures, evolved into an authentic expression of his joy for the game, a charisma so potent it became a strategic weapon. He didn't just win points. He won hearts, drawing spectators into his matches, making them feel like co-conspirators in his improbable ascent. This public reception was a critical turning point. It wasn't just about his tennis, but about the sheer force of his personality. Media began to take notice, initially framing him as an intriguing underdog, then as a rising star, and finally as a genuine contender. Critical acclaim mounted not just for his raw talent, but for the story behind it, for the grit that underpinned his effortless power. Yet with every success came increased scrutiny, heavier expectations, and the inevitable moments of crushing defeat that truly tested his newfound resilience. There were matches he should have won, opportunities that slipped through his grasp, moments when the pressure felt insurmountable. These setbacks, far from breaking him, became further lessons in mental fortitude. He refused to let them define him, instead internalizing them as fuel. Doubling down on his commitment, demonstrating a profound understanding that failure was simply data for future growth, he learned to compartmentalize, to mourn a loss, but then immediately pivot to analysis, always maintaining that trademark optimism, that unyielding belief that the next match, the next point, offered a chance for redemption. This period of his career was a masterclass in psychological warfare, both against opponents and against his own inner demons. He had to learn to thrive not just on the energy of the crowd, but within the quiet confines of his own mind, maintaining focus amidst the relentless grind. It was during these early professional years that Big Foe truly became a recognizable brand, an electrifying presence that redefined the typical stoicism of tennis. He wasn't afraid to let his personality shine, to engage with the fans, to bring a vibrant, unbridled joy to every single match. This authenticity resonated deeply, building a massive organic fanbase that felt personally invested in his journey. His success wasn't merely about winning matches. It was about breaking molds, proving that a different kind of champion, one born of perseverance rather than privilege, could not only compete but thrive at the highest levels. His every powerful forehand, every dynamic sprint, and every infectious smile became a testament to what was possible. When raw talent met relentless dedication, he transformed tennis into an electrifying performance, captivating audiences worldwide. and making new fans out of casual observers, demonstrating that the human spirit, armed with a dream and unshakable belief, could transcend any perceived barrier, setting the stage for an extraordinary career that would continue to inspire millions. The transition from a celebrated underdog to a legitimate star was less a gradual ascent, and more like being shot out of a cannon, hurtling into an orbit where gravity felt entirely different, where the air was thinner, and the glare of the sun relentless. One moment, he was chasing ranking points and recognition on obscure courts. The next, his face was splashed across billboards, his name a trending topic, his every move on and off the court dissected with surgical precision. The infectious smile that had charmed the tennis world, the swagger that had endeared him to millions, suddenly felt like a brand, something he had to maintain, rather than an organic expression of joy. Endorsements flooded in, bringing a level of financial security he'd only dreamed of, allowing him to provide for his family in ways that choked him up with gratitude. But with every new contract came a new demand, every interview a new obligation, every public appearance a piece of himself chipped away. The world wanted Big Foe, the electrifying showman, the inspiring Ragstorich's story, and sometimes Francis felt like he was constantly performing a role, rather than simply being himself. The private moments, those cherished quiet hours spent honing his craft, or simply existing, became rarer, fractured by the relentless demands of his burgeoning fame. He missed the anonymity of those Challenger Tour, the raw, unfiltered focus on just the ball and the line without the deafening roar of expectation. The constant travel, once a thrilling adventure, now felt like an endless conveyor belt, stripping away the comfort of routine, leaving him perpetually jet-lagged and a little bit lost in a sea of changing hotel rooms and impersonal airports. The pressure wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about living up to the narrative, about proving he wasn't a flash in the pan, about justifying the millions of hopes he carried on his broad shoulders. Every unforced error wasn't just a point lost. It was a perceived stumble in the public eye, a moment that would be endlessly replayed and analyzed. The online chatter. Initially, a chorus of adulation began to reveal its harsher undertones, critiques of his fitness, doubts about his consistency, armchair experts questioning his strategy. It was a subtle erosion, but an erosion nonetheless, chipping away at the seemingly impenetrable fortress of his self-belief. He found himself scrolling through comments, something he swore he'd never do, and each negative remark felt like a tiny pinprick, accumulating into a dull ache. The court, once his sanctuary, sometimes felt like a cage, a highly visible arena where every vulnerability was exposed. He started to second-guess himself, to play safer, to lose some of that uninhibited joy that had defined his early rise. He began to feel the weight of a secret burden. Fear of disappointing not just himself, but everyone who had invested their hope in him. This internal conflict, this battle between the public persona and the private self, became his toughest opponent. He yearned for the simple satisfaction of hitting a clean winner, of outthinking an opponent, unburdened by the layers of expectation that now clung to him like a second skin. Then came the physical cost, the relentless schedule, the years of pushing his body to its absolute limit began to manifest. Nagging injuries, a persistent knee issue, a shoulder strain that wouldn't quite heal. These weren't dramatic, career-ending blows, but insidious whispers of mortality, reminders that even his extraordinary athleticism had its limits. He had always played with a certain wild abandon, relying on his explosive speed and raw power. But now, he had to adapt. His coaches pushed for more strategic play, for smarter shot selection, for conserving energy, and while he intellectually understood it, felt like reigning in the very essence of Big Foe. This was a career pivot forced upon him by his own body, a stark lesson in adaptation beyond just court conditions. The physical pain was manageable, but the frustration of not being able to play with the same unbridled freedom, of feeling like a fraction of his true self on court, was a deep existential ache. He spent more time in recovery rooms than on practice courts, the rhythmic hum of massage guns replacing the satisfying thwack of ball on string that had been his childhood lullaby. It was during this period of forced introspection, as his body healed, that he started to truly confront the identity crisis brewing beneath the surface of his fame. Who was Francis outside of the tennis court, outside of the Big Foe persona? He found solace in reconnecting with his roots, not just the academy, but the deeper meaning of his parents' sacrifices, the quiet dignity of their struggle. He volunteered more, spoke to younger athletes, sharing not just his triumphs, but his vulnerabilities, realizing that his story was more powerful. When it included the messy, imperfect parts, he sought out new mentors not just for tennis, but for life, for mental fortitude. He learned to meditate, to breathe, to quiet the cacophony of external noise, and listen to the steady rhythm of his own heart. He understood that resilience wasn't just about bouncing back from a loss on court, but about rebuilding oneself from the ground up. When the foundations felt shaky, he began to intentionally carve out moments of true privacy, finding joy in simple things. A quiet meal with loved ones, an evening of uninterrupted music, a walk alone, just Francis, not Big Foe. This conscious effort to reclaim his private self, to guard his inner peace, became as vital as any forehand practice. His game, when he returned, was different, perhaps slightly less explosive, but infinitely more intelligent, more patient, more nuanced. The joy was still there, but it was a deeper, more mature joy, tempered by experience and a profound understanding of the impermanence of fame and the true value of self. He wasn't just playing for the crowd anymore. He was playing for the sheer love of the game, for the challenge, for the quiet satisfaction of mastering his craft. He had transformed again, not just adapting to the physical demands of professional tennis, but to the psychological weight of celebrity. He emerged not just as a stronger athlete, but as a more grounded, authentic human being, ready to embrace the next chapter of his remarkable story, armed with a renewed sense of purpose and an unshakable inner calm that radiated from him, a quiet strength. Beneath the familiar, infectious smile, he had faced the crucible of fame and injury, and rather than being consumed, he had been refined, becoming a testament to enduring spirit and the constant journey of self-discovery, proving that true champions find victory not just on the scoreboard, but within themselves. The arena, once a cauldron of overwhelming expectation, now felt different to Francis upon his return. It wasn't empty of pressure, no. The roar of the crowd, the flashing cameras, the collective anticipation of millions still thrummed in the air, but something within him had shifted. He was no longer simply performing as Big Foe. He was Francis, a man who had faced the deepest recesses of his own identity, grappled with the physical limits of his body, and emerged with a quiet, unshakable confidence. His game, once characterized by raw, explosive power, had undergone a profound metamorphosis. It was still formidable, certainly, but now infused with an intelligent patience, a strategic depth that spoke of countless hours of introspection and tactical refinement. The wild abandon of his youth had been tempered, not extinguished, but channeled into a precision that was breathtaking to behold. His serve, still a thunderbolt, now found lines with surgical accuracy, and his forehand, once simply a weapon of brute force, now commanded angles and spins that bewildered opponents. He had embraced the lessons of his injuries, learning to conserve energy, to pick his moments, to win not just with power, but with superior courtcraft, anticipation, and an almost intuitive understanding of his opponent's weaknesses. This reinvention wasn't about losing a step. It was about gaining an entire dimension, transforming him from a thrilling, powerful hitter into a truly complete, multidimensional player. His comeback wasn't a single explosive victory, but a tapestry woven from resilient performances. There were matches where he found himself down a set, perhaps even a break, moments that in the past might have triggered frustration, a return to impulsive play, but now a deeper calm resided within him. He would breathe, observe, and methodically dismantle his opponents' strategy point by meticulous point. One particular tournament, a Masters 1000 event, stands out vividly. He wasn't the favorite, still climbing back up the rankings after his injury woes, but match after match, he chipped away at higher-seeded players, not just winning, but winning ugly when he had to, finding a way when there seemed to be none. His movement, while perhaps slightly less frenetic, was more efficient, his footwork precise, his anticipation a thing of beauty. The commentators noted it, the fans felt it. There was a gravitas to his play, an underlying strength that transcended mere athleticism. He wasn't just hitting winners. He was constructing points, painting masterpieces of strategy, culminating in a semifinal against a perennial top-5 player, a grinding three-set epic under the lights. Every rally was a testament to his newfound patience, his mental fortitude, his unwavering belief in his process. He'd dig deep, retrieve seemingly impossible shots, and then with a subtle shift in momentum, unleash a perfectly placed backhand down the line or a delicate drop shot that left his opponent stranded. When he finally clinched match point, the roar was deafening, But his celebration was different. Still joyful, yes, but tinged with a quiet satisfaction, a profound understanding of the journey that had brought him to that very moment. It wasn't just a win. It was a reclamation, a defiant declaration that he was back stronger and wiser than before. This transformation resonated deeply with the public. They had seen the raw talent, the infectious charm, the underdog fight. Now they saw something more profound. Resilience forged in fire, a vulnerability openly embraced, and a maturity that added layers of depth to his already compelling narrative. The media, too, shifted their focus. No longer just highlighting his inspiring backstory, they began to speak of his strategic prowess, his mental toughness, his exemplary sportsmanship. Even in the most intense battles, he became a living embodiment of personal growth, a testament to the idea that true strength lies not in never falling, but in always rising always. Learning his candidness about his struggles with fame and injury, his openness about seeking mental well-being, transformed him from just an athlete into a relatable human being grappling with universal challenges. He used his platform not just to celebrate victories, but to advocate for holistic well-being in sports, destigmatizing the conversation around mental health and sharing the lessons he'd learned about self-care and inner peace. He spoke to aspiring athletes not just about forehands and backhands, but about finding balance, about protecting their inner selves from the relentless glare of public scrutiny. He emphasized that the greatest championship they could win was the one against their own doubts and anxieties. His connection with the community deepened significantly. He inaugurated youth programs in underserved areas, personally overseeing clinics where he shared not just tennis techniques, but life lessons embodying the very spirit of possibility he represented. He didn't just donate money. He donated his time, his presence, his genuine warmth, sitting with kids, signing autographs, telling them his story not as a fairy tale, but as a journey of hard work, perseverance, and unwavering belief. His legacy began to redefine itself. It wasn't merely about the grand slams he aspired to win or the ranking points he accumulated. It was about the indelible mark he left on the sport and on the lives of countless individuals. He became a symbol of authenticity, proving that one could reach the pinnacle of professional sport without sacrificing one's true self, without conforming to preconceived notions of what a champion should be. His infectious smile, once a simple expression of joy, now carried the weight of wisdom, a beacon of light that had navigated storms and emerged brighter. He was a champion in the truest sense, not just by virtue of his athletic achievements, but by his profound impact on the human spirit, by demonstrating that the journey of self-discovery is as vital as any quest for gold, and that true victory lies in transforming adversity into a catalyst for profound growth. He had embraced his whole story with humble beginnings, the meteoric rise, the challenges of fame, the pain of injury, and the quiet triumph of self-reclamation, and woven it into a narrative that resonated with audiences far beyond the confines of the tennis court, establishing himself as a cultural icon whose influence transcended the sport itself. He wasn't just playing tennis. He was building a legacy of hope, inspiring generations to believe that their unique path, no matter how unconventional, could lead to extraordinary outcomes, becoming a testament to the enduring power of dreams realized against all odds. A true master of his craft and a profound inspiration to the world, his story was no longer just about personal triumph. It had become a universal anthem of resilience, a vibrant testament to the limitless potential of the human spirit when fueled by authenticity and an unshakable will to not just succeed, but to truly thrive, transforming obstacles into stepping stones towards a greater purpose. The whisper of fate, once confined to the echoing walls of a tennis academy office, had swelled into a resounding anthem, a symphonic declaration of human potential. Francis, no longer just Big Foe, the electrifying showman, had ascended beyond the confines of athletic prowess to become a profound testament to the power of self-discovery and an enduring spirit. His journey from a child sleeping beneath the hum of air conditioning units to a global icon was not merely a narrative of athletic triumph, but a deeply human saga of transformation, resilience, and the quiet, persistent courage to redefine one's own destiny. He had walked through the crucible of a war-torn, past the stark realities of poverty, the dizzying heights of fame, and the humbling vulnerability of physical setback, emerging not unscathed, but undeniably stronger, his infectious smile now imbued with the profound wisdom of experience. The boy who once mimicked pros through a chain-link fence now stood as a beacon, his every powerful stroke and every strategic masterclass on court a living philosophy, teaching that true growth often sprouts from the most challenging terrain. He had learned that the loudest victories aren't always scored on the scoreboard, but forged in the silent battles within, against doubt, against fear, against the insidious whispers of not enough. His legacy therefore transcended the tangible glitter of trophies and ranking points. It wasn't just about the forehands that exploded off his racket, or the serves that defied expectation. It was about the barriers he shattered, the molds he redefined, and the millions of hearts he touched, not just with his exhilarating play, but with his unwavering authenticity. He dismantled the traditional narrative of tennis privilege, proving with every triumphant leap that talent knows no postcode and determination can carve a path where none seemingly exists. He became a living example for every aspiring athlete from an underrepresented background, a vibrant affirmation that their dreams were not only valid but capable of reaching the most dazzling heights. He opened conversations not just about technique and strategy, but about the profound importance of mental well-being in the relentless glare of professional sport, candidly sharing his own struggles and triumphs, destigmatizing vulnerabilities in a world often demanding an impenetrable facade. His advocacy for diversity and inclusion, born from his own lived experience, was not a performative gesture, but a deeply ingrained commitment. Making the sport more reflective of the global tapestry, it aimed to represent. He understood that his story, imperfect and beautifully human, held a power far greater than any single match win. It was a blueprint for navigating adversity, a guide for finding joy amidst relentless pressure, and a heartfelt plea for compassion in a fiercely competitive arena. The transformation in his game mirrored a deeper, more profound shift within himself. The raw, uninhibited power of his youth had matured into a nuanced artistry, a strategic brilliance, tempered by experience. He had embraced the lessons of his injuries, learning that true strength lay not in perpetual aggression, but in intelligent conservation, in choosing moments, in weaving together power with precision. His game became a testament to adaptability, to the unwavering pursuit of self-improvement, evolving beyond a single dimension. Complete multifaceted threat. This wasn't merely about physical recovery. It was a spiritual recalibration, a conscious choice to play not just for glory, but for the inherent love of the game, for the intricate puzzle of each point, for the sheer joy of competing at the highest level. The pressure remained, of course, a constant companion in elite sport, but he had developed a new relationship with it. It no longer consumed him. Instead, he embraced it, allowing it to sharpen his focus, to elevate his performance. He had learned to quiet the external noise, to find his sanctuary within the rhythm of the rally, to trust the intuitive wisdom of his own body, and mind. This inner calm, hard-won through years of trials, radiated outwards, affecting his demeanor on court, his interactions with fans, and his profound impact on the wider sporting world. He had become not just a champion of tennis, but a champion of the human spirit, demonstrating that even in the most intense arenas, grace, empathy, and genuine joy could not only survive, but thrive. His enduring smile, once a youthful expression of exuberance, now carried the weight of a seasoned warrior, a knowing glance that acknowledged the arduous path traversed, yet celebrated the sheer thrill of the journey. It was a smile that spoke volumes without a single word, conveying resilience, gratitude, and an unshakable optimism that permeated every fiber of his being. He had proven that reinvention is not a singular event, but a continuous process, a lifelong commitment to growth, to learning from every stumble, to finding new ways to rise. His story served as a powerful reminder that the greatest achievements often lie beyond the pursuit of external validation, in the quiet triumph of self-mastery, and the profound satisfaction of living authentically. He showed us that the why behind our efforts is far more significant than the what we achieve. For Francis, it was always more than tennis. It was about family, about community, about inspiring the next generation to dare to dream beyond their circumstances. He didn't just win matches. He created moments, etched memories into the collective consciousness of sports fans worldwide, not just through his athletic prowess, but through the undeniable spirit that animated every fiber of his being on and off the court. He brought a sense of vibrancy and joy back to a sport that sometimes felt overly serious, reminding everyone that at its heart, it was still a game, a magnificent expression of human agility, strength, and strategic genius. And as the echoes of his matches fade into the collective memory, the true reverberation of Francis's impact will only grow louder. His legacy is not just etched in record books, but woven into the fabric of inspiration for countless aspiring athletes, for anyone who has ever felt overlooked, underestimated, or told their dreams were too big for their beginnings. He is a living testament to the idea that where you start does not define where you can go, but rather it can be the very crucible that forges an extraordinary spirit. He reminds us that true victory isn't merely about conquering opponents, but about conquering oneself, about navigating the labyrinth of life with courage, integrity, and an unyielding belief in one's own unique potential. His story, a captivating blend of grit, grace, and undeniable charisma, will continue to resonate for generations, a timeless narrative of the human spirit's boundless capacity for reinvention, for resilience, and for finding profound purpose in the pursuit of a dream, proving that some destinies are not given but fiercely, joyfully earned. He is the embodiment of triumph, not just on the court, but in the grander game of life, inspiring us all to embrace our own unconventional paths, to smile in the face of adversity, and to always play with heart. His future, still unfolding, promises to be as bright and impactful as the journey that brought him here, a continuous testament to the enduring power of a dream, cultivated from the most unexpected of origins, a beacon of hope, joy, and unbridled talent that continues to redefine what it means to be a champion. He has shown the world that true greatness isn't just about winning, but about how you play the game of life, both on and off the court, leaving an indelible mark that transcends mere athletic achievement, cementing his place not just as a tennis star, but as a cultural force, a profound inspiration for authentic living and relentless pursuit of purpose against all odds. What aspect of Francis Tiafoe's incredible journey resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories.